we live? Can you hear me? Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Good afternoon, everybody. So we're at the work group portion of the day. So that means we get to come up and introduce ourselves, and we don't have the pleasure of Sam introducing us. We've been downgraded. So I'm stealing your thunder. You're the chair, so I should let you take this. But let's do one thing first, which is I'm going to wait till some people walk out. Everyone's leaving. Who's going to leave? We have a door prize, a pair of AirPods by Lundy. And let's see. There's my list. Gail Lundeman. Gail.
Hey.
There you go. Can you catch? There you go. Congratulations. Go ahead,
Good
Greg.
day. Yes, I'll get to work, Annie. You got it. Well, good day. Thank you. This is R&D. My name is Greg Moore. As you know, John will introduce himself. The interesting thing for me, I'm the CTO at RMLS in Portland, Oregon. And to show my age, Annie, on the 19th of this month, I worked in the MLS business for basically running tech for 39 years. Yeah. And I hope to get to do it some more, so it's not like I'm hitting the exit too soon. And John, you're up, buddy.
So, hello, John Breault, statewide MLS in Rhode Island. Actually, this will be my 39th year in the industry as well in December. So you got a couple of old geezers up here. This is my picture with my bass face taken at the last spring conference. And I also serve on the board of directors as vice chair of the board. So happy to be here and talk a little R&D. We have 50 minutes, I think, or 40, but we're not going to take that long. Pain points, we're going to lead right into pain points, and so they'll probably get an early start.
Yeah, so here, we'll jump into business and then we'll get to chat a little bit. So the antitrust policy, since we are a work group, RESO strives to increase competition in the marketplace and will not be a forum for anti-competitive conduct. The RESO antitrust policy governs the activities of RESO and its members, including this meeting. A link to the policy was emailed to you with the meeting agenda. Please consult RESO's counsel if you have any questions. So as John and I kind of prep for this, the one thing I was teasing him a little bit about is in a funny way, as we stand here, we are the opening act for pain points. So if you really look at the process of R&D, we really are the opening act.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I reminded Greg is like in 1962, the Beatles opened up for Roy Orbison. And in 1968, Led Zeppelin opened up for Country Joe and the Fish. So the pain points are the headliners right now, but the point is our day is coming.
If we last that long, you guys.
Right.
Yeah, so if you'll flip the slide back, what I wanted to first touch on really is is our mission statement. Why is there an R&D in RESO? And really, we look for kind of those pain points. So John and I will be here for the next work group with our pens and really ready to note those. And what R&D does is really we create a business case out of those. So and then we'll do some analysis and we'll kind of weigh them. Normally they'll find another work group once we do our job. So, we'll certainly go over some of those things just kind of in a high level to let you know kind of over the years the work we've done. But when you look at, the flow here, John?
Yeah, so this really is just sort of the funnel, the RESO funnel. How do things sort of work through the process? We're a member-driven organization, right? And so obviously we have member organizations. So broker advisory, they were up here earlier. They're one of the big feedback channels from the brokerage community where they will funnel things through to R&D. But as Greg said, also through pain points, we'll get other information, a lot of times from the technical side of things. And so that ideally is funneled through R&D. Not always. A lot of times they'll, depending on what it is, we'll go straight to like data dictionary. So for like example, one of the things we heard today, I think Ethan had mentioned this interest in a subgroup related to international expansion in the dictionary. And so, does that need to go through R&D? I mean, I guess it could, but ideally it might just go right to data dictionary that will look at creating a subgroup. And if you're interested in being a part of that, by all means, reach out and we'll get you in the queue for that. And so basically, as we go through and we build our business cases, they're generally, the business cases will head off in one or two directions, right? It'll either go to data dictionary or it will go to transport, or sometimes both, depending on what it is. And then ultimately that information, as it's approved by the various work groups, depending on what it is, will then be discussed at the board liaison committee, which is all the work group chairs, and then ultimately presented to the board, where either informationally or sometimes for the board to vote and ratify the decisions.
Perfect.
So
I mean, just to give you a picture of, the things that we've worked on, a couple of things that we're kind of working on. And one that really resonated with me as I was thinking about it, and Matt's probably in the room, is many, many years ago, I read an article that Matt Cohen had posted about media. And you think of what AI can do for media today. So, I mean, we really dug in and wrote a business case and then really created a long list of enumerations of what really would be media modifications. Is it virtually staged? Has it been what you'd call decluttered? Is this just a sample image, right? Maybe a drawing or a rendering of the house that's going to be built. And I mean, it seems more apropos today when it can be, beyond virtually staged. I mean, gosh, it could be virtually remodeled. There are all kinds of options now, I mean, with AI and imagery, and the average bear is not going to know unless that becomes kind of that enumeration list. So, if media was ever modified, what modifications were made. So, the consumer and certainly the agent needs to be aware of that. We did it a couple of years before that in something called virtually staged, because we had an agent walk into a house that looked like it was supposed to be furnished, and it was bone empty. And of course, who do they call? Is the MLS going, somebody's got to let the neighbors know there's a problem with this house. To find out that, they'd used technology just to drop the, furniture, et cetera, in the bedrooms and in the living rooms and that kind of stuff. So we just put a watermark on there. But now there is a standard in the industry for your media resource that really is, what happened, if anything, to that listing.
So this slide's really sort of like our greatest hits. This is the R&D sort of work product. I mean, I know you think Greg and John are just two cool guys that just get up on stage and just kind of shoot the shit, and generally that is it. But so these are some of the things over the years that we've worked on and we've passed along, and there've been some great things here. Then there are some things like days in MLS, which all right. So sometimes it's a swing and a miss. Not everything is a home run, right? But these things have passed forward, and so we're kind of, I guess, proud, right, of these things, and we wanted to at least list some of our accomplishments, and it was sort of good for us to kind of look back over the years and say, geez, what kind of things have we really accomplished?
Yeah, and a couple of things. I mean, one thing that came to us was really data quality. So we were working, a stats vendor had joined RESO, and I mean, he was finding, data quality issues where maybe sale dates were before listing dates. Price gaps. Gosh, it got listed at $2 million and it sold at $175,000. So that original price probably wasn't valid. But you can imagine at times, square footage, et cetera, how it can really tip the scale in stats. And I mean, we did some looking at our database because we go all the way back to '99. So, talk about systems that printed books instead of really, were robust online systems with business rules. That's where some of that data came from. I only found one listing where the pending date was before the sale date. So we kind of lucked out on that. But what I did find was that often we'll get a listing with an immediate price change. Within 24 hours of them publishing that listing, there's a price change. And it's usually a fairly good delta. So, I mean, we're doing now outreach to those folks to say, was that a price correction? Did as you were entering that listing and 2 days later you came and you pushed the publish button after you uploaded more pictures, and oops, I kind of messed up. So we're able to kind of now do some, outreach on that. And I think we'll probably add it to our kind of data validation checker. So it'll just send out an email to have folks let us know.
So that's an example of a case I think that we have right now. Now the group met several times and discussed it, and it was decided that ultimately it really wasn't something for RESO to do anything about. However, it does live right now on the R&D page, and there's, I think, a Google sheet of sort of some of the examples of pain points related to data quality, like Greg alluded to. And so it's going to live there for a while that you can look at it, and maybe you can add some information to, and then it may just end up being like something that gets converted to an FAQ or just an informational. We may share it maybe to CMLS, and maybe under their sort of technical group, they might want to put together some best practices as well. But we're not, there was no appetite from the group to really build a standard around that at this time.
Yeah, and I mean, really as a standards body, we talked deeply about it. We're certainly here to help and maybe put some guidelines on, but we're not the data police. We really are working on kind of that dictionary, the transport, those kinds of things. But I mean, it's kind of a good cheat sheet to really check out if you're interested. Yep. And want to build out some more data validation rules in your systems. So one of our big projects, and I think you heard about it, and I think we'll hear more about it, is the unique licensee ID. Hopefully Josh is in the room because he put in some amazing work to kind of build algorithms really and weightings and stuff like that. So, you think neighboring MLSs, and I mean, John and I know within our own MLSs, we may have the same principal broker entered 3 or 4 times. Yeah, but, sure. That is really one person. And you live on, a 2-state border. There are licensees, that really are in both states, so they've got a foot in each. But again, it's a single person. And how do we, think statistically, all kinds of different ways, all the way up to your association where you're maybe tracking education, right? CE credits and those things. Really, take those multiple AMS type, MLS, CRM system, what we'd call subscriber records, and really, identify the folks who are the same.
So is there anyone here not familiar with ULI? I mean, we've been working on it forever. We talk about it at every conference. Is there anyone not really familiar with it? Okay. I didn't want to take for granted that we could go into a deeper dive. But
right.
So so we like to keep sort of mentioning it. And at the last conference, we did an updated presentation on this, and it actually spawned a lot of interest. So we know we have some MLSs. MRED is currently working on it. They've taken sort of I guess I'll say programming, the non-technical guy talking about it, the algorithm that was developed here to do the agent match. Was that a good word? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great word,
agent
John.
matching. And so they're taking it and sort of throwing it at their own data. FMLS is also working on it. I had a conversation just with an AMS outside that also in very early stages where they've taken it and they've passed it along to their dev team just to look at it. I mean, if you could get something like this at the AMS level, that would be great, So the idea is that we need more MLSs sort of testing it with their data and just fine-tuning the matching. And then ultimately, then from there, we could work on building a network. Transport is already discussing it in terms of, like, well, how is this going to communicate across the network, right? Like, what's the way of passing this information along so that my system can speak to Greg's system and all of that. So transport is working on it, but we're always encouraging volunteers. Even if you, from a UI perspective, because one of the things is right now, if you're an MLS and you don't really have a tech team to throw the code at to work on it, you're kind of stuck. So for somebody like me, if there was a UI built around it where I could use that to sort of make it work, that would be great. So we're encouraged, if there's anyone interested in maybe helping contribute a little bit on the UI front to build around this, reach out to us. And we'd love to bring you into the project. So, it's been a while, but I mean, there's a ton of interest, and it's sort of slow going, but I think, we're getting some momentum, and we're pretty excited about that.
Cool. Thanks, John. So really, this is R&D. I mean, you say, hopefully you'll hang out for pain points.
Yeah.
And I mean, we really are here to take good ideas. There's no such thing as a bad idea. If, you know,
No, we've had some pretty bad ones. That's not true.
You know,
Greg's a little too sunshiny and West
yeah.
Coast. And I'm the East Coast, you know.
Yeah, the East Coast, West Coast.
Bullshit. It's not,
But if the standard, you know, can maybe do something for you if you're having a problem resolving business issues, those kinds of things. You know, look, we meet the first Thursday of every month. As John said, you know, in Confluence, et cetera.
I mean, we're open for some
about
ideas.
our business cases.
We don't have a lot going on yet. We're open for business cases. I mean, there are things obviously coming up. The pain points are going to be talking about a number of things, but obviously the clear cooperation thing is something that we may have to look at from a RESO perspective in terms of, you know, is there anything that needs to be adjusted in the standard? One thing I do want to take this opportunity, though, a little audience participation with the new delayed marketing. How many are thinking about making it a status in your MLS, like a delayed marketing status? Nobody?
There's a few.
Well, I mean, some have coming soon, right? But I mean, some may modify their coming soon. But, you know, the question is, it sort of falls into two buckets, right? A lot are looking at maybe just making it a status, akin to like a coming soon. Then the other bucket seems to be people that are looking at like creating like a yes-no, sort of handling it with, you know, opt-in, opt-out. How many are thinking about taking that approach? Anyone? Sounds like a lot of us are just taking a wait-and-see approach. We don't know what we're going to do right now. Maybe we're going to hope it just goes away and we don't have to do anything. Is that a hope? So you'll get into that more with pain points. You'll have more of an interactive. I mean, I guess we should have an open forum, but we really want to just, I think ideally we're running behind, and if pain points is ready, unless somebody has something specifically for R&D you want to come up to the microphone and say, we may end a little early and turn it over to these guys,
thank
right?
you.
Thank you, everybody. Let's have pain points up now. So come on, guys.